In the heart of Willow Creek, a small town nestled between rolling hills and whispering pines, stood Willow General Hospital. It was a place of healing, but also of quiet struggles, where patients faced their fears and families clung to hope. Amid the sterile corridors and the hum of medical machines, a golden retriever named Faith became a beacon of light, her wagging tail and soulful eyes bringing comfort to those who needed it most. Faith wasn't always destined to be a therapy dog. She was born on a sprawling farm just outside town, one of 6 puppies in a litter that tumbled through fields of clover under the watchful eye of their mother, Daisy. From the start, Faith stood out. Her fur was the color of sunlight, and her temperament was gentle yet curious, as if she understood the world held both wonders and wounds. When she was 8 weeks old, she caught the attention of Sarah Thompson, a nurse at Willow General who had a passion for animal-assisted therapy. Sarah had seen the toll that illness took on patients, not just on their bodies but on their spirits. She believed a dog could make a difference, and when she met Faith, she knew she'd found the perfect partner. Faith was enrolled in a rigorous training program, learning to navigate crowded spaces, remain calm amidst chaos, and respond to subtle cues from humans. She mastered the art of sitting still for a child's shaky hug and resting her head gently on an elderly patient's lap. By the time she was 2, Faith was certified as a therapy dog, and her journey at Willow General began. Her first day was a quiet one. Sarah led her through the hospital's main entrance, her leash loose as Faith padded confidently beside her. The lobby smelled of antiseptic and coffee, and the fluorescent lights cast a stark glow. Patients and staff turned to stare, some smiling, others skeptical. Therapy dogs were rare in Willow Creek, and not everyone was convinced a dog belonged in a hospital. But Faith didn't seem to notice the doubts. She wagged her tail, her eyes scanning the room as if searching for someone to help. Their first stop was room 204, where a young boy named Ethan lay recovering from surgery. Ethan was 10, with a mop of brown hair and a fear of needles that made every hospital visit a battle. His mother, sitting beside him, looked exhausted, her eyes red from sleepless nights. When Sarah knocked and introduced Faith, Ethan's face lit up for the first time in days. "Can I pet her?" he asked, his voice small. "Of course," Sarah said, guiding Faith to the bed. Faith sat obediently, her eyes locked on Ethan's. He reached out, his hand trembling, and stroked her soft fur. Faith leaned into his touch, her warmth seeping into him. For a moment, the beeping monitors and the sterile room faded away. Ethan smiled, a real smile, and his mother wiped a tear from her cheek. "She's so soft," Ethan whispered. "Does she come here every day?" "Almost," Sarah said. "Faith loves visiting people. She's here to make you feel better." From that day on, Faith became a fixture at Willow General. She and Sarah visited patients of all ages, from children in the pediatric ward to elderly patients in palliative care. Faith had an uncanny ability to sense who needed her most. In the oncology unit, she'd rest her head on the knee of a woman undergoing chemotherapy, offering silent companionship during long, grueling treatments. In the ICU, she'd lie quietly beside a man recovering from a heart attack, her steady breathing a reminder that life persisted even in the darkest moments. One of Faith's most memorable patients was Mrs. Evelyn Carter, a 78-year-old widow who had been admitted with pneumonia. Evelyn was a proud woman, quick with a joke but fiercely private about her pain. She'd lost her husband a year earlier, and the loneliness of her hospital room weighed heavily on her. When Sarah brought Faith to her room, Evelyn waved them off at first. "I'm not one for fussing over animals," she said, her voice gruff. But Faith, undeterred, sat at the foot of her bed and tilted her head, her brown eyes soft and inviting. Evelyn sighed, then patted the bed. "Fine, come here, you big fluff ball." Faith hopped up gently, curling up beside Evelyn. The older woman's hands, lined with age, rested on Faith's fur, and soon she was talking. First about her husband, then about the garden they tended together, and finally about the fear she hadn't admitted to anyone, that she might not make it home. Faith listened, her presence a quiet anchor. When Evelyn's voice cracked, Faith nudged her hand as if to say, "You're not alone." "She's a good listener," Evelyn said to Sarah, a faint smile breaking through. "Better than most people." Word of Faith's magic spread beyond the hospital. Local newspapers ran stories about the golden angel of Willow General, and families began requesting visits from her. Nurses noticed that patients who spent time with Faith often had lower blood pressure and reported less pain. Doctors, initially skeptical, began to see her as an unofficial member of the care team. Even the hospital's grumpiest janitor, Mr. Jenkins, couldn't resist sneaking Faith a treat when he thought no one was watching. But Faith's work wasn't without challenges. There were days when the hospital felt like a battlefield, with emergencies piling up and grief hanging heavy in the air. One winter, a flu outbreak filled the wards, and Faith and Sarah worked long hours to visit as many patients as possible. One evening, they entered the room of a teenage girl named Mia, who was battling a severe case of the flu. Mia was withdrawn, her face pale, and she barely acknowledged Faith at first. Sarah worried that this might be one visit where even Faith's charm wouldn't break through. But Faith, as always, had other plans. She hopped onto Mia's bed and, instead of sitting still, began to play. She nudged a small stuffed toy, a bear Mia had clutched since childhood, toward her, then batted it gently with her paw. Mia's lips twitched, and soon she was giggling, tossing the bear for Faith to catch. For the first time in days, Mia's room filled with laughter. "You're ridiculous," Mia said to Faith, scratching her ears. "I love you." That moment became a turning point for Mia's recovery. Her doctors later told Sarah that the boost to Mia's spirits had helped her fight the infection. It was a reminder of what Faith did best. She didn't just comfort. She brought joy, a spark of life that reminded patients why they were fighting to heal. As the years passed, Faith's golden fur began to gray, and her steps slowed. Sarah knew their time together at the hospital was finite, but Faith never lost her spirit. On her final day of work, the staff threw a small party in the hospital cafeteria, complete with dog-friendly treats and a banner that read, "Thank you, Faith." Patients who were well enough to attend shared stories of how Faith had helped them through their darkest days. Ethan, now a healthy teenager, gave her a drawing of a golden retriever with a halo, his way of saying thank you for the comfort she'd given him years ago. Faith retired to Sarah's home, where she spent her days lounging in the sun and chasing the occasional butterfly. She passed away peacefully at the age of 12, surrounded by Sarah and the family who had loved her from the start. The news spread through Willow Creek, and the hospital received an outpouring of cards and flowers from former patients and staff. In the years that followed, Willow General welcomed other therapy dogs, but none quite matched Faith's magic. Her legacy lived on in the hospital's therapy program, which expanded to include more animals and training for handlers. A small plaque was placed in the lobby, engraved with her name and the words, "Faith, the golden angel who brought comfort to all." And so, in the quiet moments when the hospital felt heavy with worry, the memory of a golden retriever with a wagging tail reminded everyone that healing wasn't just about medicine. It was about love, connection, and the unspoken bond between a dog and the people she touched.